Oh, getting a bit late, Nordic. We should head back. What do you say? I think we had a few too many beers. Go on then, let's get home. Are you going to drive? Sounds good. Yeah, don't forget the lights. Watch out for the traffic, Nordic. Jesus. I think you might have had a few too many, Nordic. You're all over the road. I'm pretty sure this is the track, Nordic. Follow this one. Well, luckily, I don't think there's many police around here, Nordic, so, yeah, we're alright. Yeah, this is the driveway. I think you misjudged that turn a bit. Home sweet home. Right, we better get some shut-eye, because got a busy day tomorrow. Hello everyone and welcome back to Zielonka. We are here at Nordic's cousin's farm and this is the second month here. Last time we got the fields all ploughed and limed, so they're looking nice and white. But yes, we want to be generating some rows so we can plant some of the root crops because we are here to do a root crop season. So Nordic is jumping in one of the tractors. Oh, looks like he's in the... This is the Zeta Crystal, that's quite right, and this is the Ursus. We're going to jump in the Ursus, get fired up. We've got the weight on already, which is fantastic. Nordic is going to grab one of the row makers, which are behind us. And then, yes, we are going to row it up, so to speak. And then after that, it's going to be on to planting. So we have 3 fields, 52, 53 and 54. And in those we want to drill the 3 new root crops that are part of the premium expansion. And that is red beet, carrots and parsnips. Now we're going to start with parsnips because that has the shortest growth window. And then we'll probably look to do red beets, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. Nordic has his row groover. Not quite sure what this piece of equipment is called technically, but it is a Grimmer piece of equipment. Oh, there we go. We've got it attached now, so that's fantastic. We can follow Nordic to the starting position. And as you can see, it's got these rather large upside down troughs on the back, which are going to make the rows. And I think what we'll do is we'll just follow next to Nordic and do the row that's to the right of him. And we should see some rather nice troughs made in the field that are going to be perfect for us to come along and plant on afterwards. So we'll let Nordic set up. I don't think there's anything... Oh, there is something to turn on here. I think there must be a spinning wheel or something that churns up the ground at the front. Yes, there we go. We can see it in the back there. And then the upside down troughs at the back turn it into the nice rows. So there we go. Try and line up as close as we can with Nordic's lines. Fantastic. We are away. So we're going to get this all rowed and see you when we're finished. End of the line. And Nordic is following up behind me. We're just the last slither there. And that is all the rows formed. And that is pretty good news because it means we can crack on with planting our first crop, which is going to be parsnips. Now, it's worth mentioning that we did the rows on that field when it was freshly ploughed, and we could have probably cultivated beforehand. So for this first field, we've done the rows with just the ploughed state. I think for the next field we're going to try and do the cultivating or disc harrowing first, and these are the disc harrows to the right here, so yes, we will look to utilise them. And I'm probably okay to park here if Nordic just reverses the other one up. There we go, we can drop that off. Now I'm going to park up this tractor because I think we're going to give the smaller tractors a go at the planters. They might not be up to it in terms of horsepower, but we're certainly going to give it a go. So I'm just having a look at the help menu, and it is called creating ridges. So I guess we could call it ridge making instead of row making. That makes a little bit more sense because it is very rigid. And one thing to note is not only does it make the ridges, but it also adds a fertilization stage. So if we take a look at the map, it says it's no longer ploughed, and if we go to soil composition and turn on fertilized, we should see... Okay, it's not showing that it's fertilized, so that is interesting. Maybe we needed to cultivate first. So yes, oddly, we don't have a fertilization stage, but we are going to crack on and drill our parsnips. So as mentioned, Nordic and I are going to give the smaller tractors a go. We're in the Volvo Trabant. Nordic is in the Zeta, and we'll probably swap at some point later in the day. Now these are a little bit low on horsepower for the planters, but we're going to give them a go because we want to use them. They are on the farm for a reason. Yes, Nordic and I need to back into here and get the planters out of the shed. There we go, Nordic has his planter, so we can back in after him. We'll have to fill up with seed. Interesting, so this looks to have seed in already. That is a good start. Let's just pull out and close the shed. So Nordic had to fill up with seed, but I've got seed in already because this was the starting planter. And yes, we want parsnips, the white carrots. So we'll get back to the starting position and we'll line up our rows with the field. Now I'm hoping I'm going to do this right. So I believe we line up with the tops of the rows, and that makes sense because we drive through the in-between. There we go. So we want to switch this on, lower away, and start doing some planting. There we go. So we are making it a little bit darker, and thankfully our small tractors are doing the bidding, or up to the second gear, see if we can go any faster, but it is struggling a little bit, mainly with traction I'd say. You can see the wheels spinning there. So yeah, we'll see how we get on. We might have to switch, but if we can get away with it then we will. Let's change down a gear to first and see if that's going to work. I think Nordic is going to overtake us here. Right, we will persevere. If we have to swap tractors then we will. But if we can get away with it, then we will do so. But leave this with us, and we'll see you when we've got this all planted. Right, so you'll have noticed we are at the dealership, and that is because our smaller tractors are just not quite up to it. So we're going to look at keeping these, but getting another small tractor that's a little bit more horsepower that could cope with it. So let's have a look. So we're going to get two tractors. One is the Zetor 5545 and it's 55 horsepower, so that brings us over the threshold that we need. I think we'll get a cabin for it. Looks like there's a couple of options actually. Oh, interesting. I think we'll go without a cabin for now, and yes, we will certainly get the weights because that will be handy for the traction. Fantastic. So we can buy this for a very fair price of $7,900. We'll leave the Volvo here, and I think Nordic is going to leave this seater here. And the one we've just bought is very similar to that. Aha, here it is. Yes, so it is kind of like the higher horsepower brother of the one Nordic's currently driving. And this is the other one we bought, the Zeta 7745 Turbo. Now I think this is up to 80 horsepower, so that looks pretty good, but I think Nordic's going to drive that one, and we will hop in this one. Oh. Fantastic sound there. I love this. Super. And we'll wait for Nordic to fire up as well. There he is. Ready to go. So let's go grab the planters again and we can get back to planting. So, Nordic is finishing up the last row, and that'll be our parsnips all nicely planted into the ridges. And what was nice is these tractors, these new tractors, seemed to fit between the ridge lines quite nicely. And of course the planter, each of the sort of planting arms rests on the top of the ridge, and it plants nicely into them. And I think that gives it a nice deep patch of earth to grow within, and you'll notice that the ground darkened as we planted. So where I said the ridge markings add a level of fertilization, I think that comes as you plant it, because we don't have any solid or liquid fertilizer in this planter. So yep, the ridges act as a level of fertilization, but only once you do the planting. So that is pretty good. We will inspect the map and make sure that is correct. But for now, that's that field all planted with our parsnips. So we'll probably move on to red beets next, but we are going to cultivate the next field first, or disc harrow it rather. And then we'll move on to ridge making and then planting once more with red beets this time. So let's just drop the tractors off. We can probably just park them in the yard with the planter still attached, because we will be using them later on. Zeta crystal for me, I think. Let's get fired up. Nordic is in the Ursus. And yes, it's quite interesting seeing these old tractors with all their wear and tear and dirtiness compared to our nice new shiny tractors. But yes, of course, these tractors, we've bought them for the farm, so Nordic's cousins are going to benefit from them. And it's a bit of a gift from us because we are obviously quite well off from calm lands, so it's nice to be able to provide some new and decent equipment to other farms. And it's going to a good cause here. I think I saw Nordic fold this up. Yes, we can fold this for transport mode. That's probably the safest. And we're going to head over to the second field, field 53, to do some disking. And yes, we'll see how the disking works with the ridge making afterwards. It might be that we can make ridges faster on cultivated ground, or it might just be that it's a bit of a waste of time because we don't need to. We can just make ridges directly from ploughed ground. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's always worth experimenting and trying these things when we're doing something new, like these new root crops. Nordic is unfolded and on his way already, so we better speed up and get behind him. So we'll get this all disked. Missed a tiny patch there, which I'll fix on the way back. And yeah, get this all disked, and then we can move on to ridge making. Job done! And that was nice and speedy. Been doing a few wheelies as we've popped to the end of the row, because this tractor is quite front light, even though it's got the engine and the built-in weights. Some of the heavy equipment does make it rear up like a horse. But that is done now. We can fold this up. And there we go, another little wheelie. So yeah, we just wanted to test the disc harrowing to see if that affected the ridge making at all. My gut feel is it probably won't, but it might make the tractors a little bit faster over the ground. So rather than bumping up and down on ploughed ground, they'll just be speeding over the flats of disked or cultivated ground. So that'll be interesting. Alright, let's drop this off down here. And then looks like I need to raise it back up, unfold it, lower it down, and then drop it. Interesting. We'll grab this ridge maker and then head over to the field we've just disked to do the ridges. We'll start on the far side, and that means we can work our way back to the farm. I think Nordic is not too far behind me. Here he is. So we can switch on the ridger, lower away, and I guess this kind of answers my own question, because there is a spinning implement at the front of this ridge maker, so potentially you just don't need to do any cultivating. But I will say that we are steaming ahead a little bit faster, and we're not bumping around as much as we normally do, so it's probably a little bit quicker if the ground is not ploughed. But yeah, if you want to skip a job, you certainly can make these ridges on ploughed ground. And it's quite useful because we've missed a little bit there that's in white that's just been cleared away now, so that is good. Right, we'll get these ridges made, and then it's over to planting, and it'll be red beets. There we go. Ridge cut, crinkle cut, and Nordic was following us up there for the last row, and that's the second field all ridged, and we are good to plant now. So we'll head on back to the farm, grab the tractors, get the planters, and this time I think it's going to be red beets, but I will check with Nordic before we do, just in case we've got something else in mind. There we go, ridge markers dropped off, and we can park away. So this time we will head into the Zeta 7745. Let's have a little look inside. Ooh, fired up. And yes, we want red beets, so let's change to red beets. That is red beets, and of course you've got carrots, parsnips and red beets. Fantastic. So let's head on over and see what we can do. Nordic's getting ready in starting position, and it's worth noting that it doesn't really use a lot of seed when planting these root crops. We used just over 30%, so yeah, 33% in this planter for the last field of parsnips. This field's a bit bigger, so I imagine we'll maybe use up to 40% potentially of the red beet seeds. But we'll get parked up next to Nordic, switch the planter on, and oh, I think we are a ridge over. We want to be in the next one because Nordic has got 4 and we want 4. There we go, we're on and away. So let's get the red beets all planted, and we'll see you when we're finished. Raising up, planter off, and we are done. That's the red beets all nicely planted in there. And first observation is that red beets take up a lot more seed than parsnips, because we used a whole tank load, well, the remainder, we had 67% or thereabouts in there. We used all that up, and after another full tank we're down to 42%. So red beets do go through a lot more seed than parsnips. But I imagine parsnips will hopefully be very similar to carrots when it comes to us drilling the carrots. Yes, I think this was in the shed, so we need to open this up because it has the seed in it. We want to make sure it stays nice and dry, I guess. So we'll get this parked in here. Hopefully this new tractor cab fits underneath. No, it does not. That is A little bit annoying. Nordic will have to push the planter back. There we go. Nordic's giving it a nice little nudge back into position. And we can park these tractors over here. Of course, we've left 2 tractors over at the dealership, so we'll have to fetch those at some point. But let's park up and we can quickly just inspect the map and see what we've been up to. So we can see in field 52 and 53 we have got our parsnips and our red beets planted, and they are in the first stage of growth, and we have got the first level of fertilization. So that means the ridge making does give you a level of fertilization, but it only appears once it's planted, because we didn't have any solid fertilizer or liquid fertilizer in the planter, which is good news. So yeah, we only have to spray them once, which we'll probably do once they get into the first stage of growth. Field 54 we'll be saving for next time to plant our carrots in. So it'll be the same. We'll probably just do ridge making rather than doing some cultivating or disking. And then we'll plant the carrots. And then, yeah, hopefully we can spray our parsnips and red beets. But that is it for today. Hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like and subscribe. Check out Nordic's channel for his perspective of today's session. And if you've got any tips, tricks or things you'd like us to do, feel free to leave a comment. But Nordic, it's the end of the day. We've finished quite early. What do you say about hitting the pub again?
Oh.